everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to be delving into, is my journey affecting other people? And I didn't think it was supposed to, right? Um, this one I always thought a lot about when I was in these different timelines. So I heard it brought up the other day again, so I thought it would be a good time to revisit it. Is our journey supposed to affect other people? And at what point are we allowing someone to fulfill part of what they agreed to do before we incarnated here? Or what part are we now holding on to support that is not aligned anymore? So this one can be, it can be a little tricky because there's parts of this process where your journey is going to affect other people, because you're going to need the support from other people during different parts of your process. And that's about the easiest way to start off with it. There's parts of your process where you need the support of someone else. And the hard thing for us to deal with, for our human to deal with, for our ego to deal with, is that this is supposed to be my journey. I shouldn't be impacting others with the choices I'm making. When you choose that it's time to quit my job, it's time to move to a different place, it's time to completely switch over my life, it's time to sell my car because or my car breaks down. And because the money is it's such a lesson we have to learn. It doesn't matter how much money you came in with when you started your ascension process, or maybe you didn't really start with much. If you started with a lot of it goes away because we don't really have a value for it, and we don't use it for what is highest aligned, and we don't even appreciate what we have. So there's so much of the journey where stuff gets taken away, so you appreciate it. You appreciate having a car, you appreciate having a house, you appreciate having just kind of the simplest things. And that's why you really start to redo how much money you feel like you need to live on, when you really go back and look at, well, how much do I really need to live on? How much money do I really need in general? And you kind of, this whole thing goes out and gets purified. Your whole relationship with money gets purified. But in the meantime, you're going to be in different situations where you're not going to be having a lot. And that normally is where we start leaning on other people stepping up to support. And this one can be, like I said, extremely tricky. One, it's going to challenge us if we've never had anyone support us. We've already supported ourselves. We have to kind of work through that, letting someone else support us. It can be rough for the other person because they are having to step up to support and they don't understand what you're doing. On a human consciousness level, they don't understand why you did the things you did, why you made the choices you made, why you continue to make the choices you make when it feels like the road you're going down is getting rockier and rockier. There's a lot of points of this journey where you're like, okay, well, this is gone, this is gone, this is gone, and then you get to the next one and you go, holy crap, now this is gone too. And we keep going down that road, right, where I can't believe everything is gone, because it's not so much the thing that has to go, it's our attachment to the thing, it's how we view the thing. We view everything with, like, we have to have all these things. It's that human consciousness that we have to have just 12 million things. We have to have all this stuff. If we don't have all this stuff, then we judge ourselves for not having it. We feel others judge us for not having it. The human realities judge us for not having it. So we go through so much of that. So when you're in these parts of the journey where you feel like, wow, what else can go? And then something else goes, you're like, are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. I can't believe that. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I lost something else. And we're going to say lost because it's how it feels. It feels like, we did something wrong. We're not trying hard enough. We're not doing it right. But because a lot of these things, whether it be your car, your home, animals, it doesn't really matter what it is. A lot of them are attached to old timelines. They're attached to losing these things, make us dig up stuff we didn't realize we were still attached to. They make us dig up how we feel about ourselves, our sense of self-worth, our sense of support, and getting supported and supporting other people, which is something else we move into. But a lot of times the support we bring for a while is not money, because if we bring money, we tend to think, that's the only thing of value. Because in the human consciousness, that is the only thing that is valued. So when you show up to realities without that, you have to look at yourself as the value. And that's one of the reasons why the money gets taken away for years and years and years and years. Because it takes it long to break through all that programming of what our relationship is with money. What is it really for? It's not really for us. It's for everyone, you know. We need to be able to share. I've said it in a zillion videos, humans can't share. We're like selfish little kids. You know, we always get on our kids about not wanting to share, but humans don't want to share either. You know, we just have bigger toys to share. We don't want to share. We don't want to share our car. There's no different for us not wanting to share our car and then a child not wanting to share his toy car. Like, to him, that's important. You know, to him, that's what he has. That's his world. Share our house. You know, what are you willing to share? And what are you saying? No, no, no. You know, that's mine. You know, I don't want to share that. I don't want to let that go. I don't want to give that up. So because we go through so many iterations of those realities, you're going to be in situations where other people will be supporting you. Whether it be, sometimes it can come from like a different weird support stream. Like a lot of people do the unemployment route where they get a weird support stream come in. Some people, it'll be friends, family. And then we get into our own judgment on that. Like, well, should they be doing this? You know, this isn't my choice, is my ascension. Why is it impacting other people, impacting others? Part of it is their agreement, and you're going to know that. You're going to know if someone's capable of helping you, and you know they're capable of helping you, and you know it's stretching them a little bit, it's stretching you a little bit, but you can see that this is how the money's supposed to come in. A lot of times we'll see this is what how the money's supposed to come in. I used to be able to see that, so I'd see it. You know, I'd know for this thing, for getting this spot, this is the amount of money that's going to come in, and this is where it's going to come from. I could see the source, you know, of the money. I could see who was going to assist with that, you know, or where the money was going to come from for it. So we go through a lot of iterations where we'll see that, you know, this is where the money's coming from. And you have to understand that it's also getting other people to break down their programming about sharing and how much money do they need, and why is it so hard to share. You'll see the limits that people have, and that also mirrors back the limits that we had. You know, like, oh, I'll help you pay for this, but I'm not going to help you pay for that. And then we get into this thing about, well, what do I do with the money? Because you feel like there's strings to it. And when we start getting to this point where, when is it time to cut that off? When is it no longer their contract anymore? And for a lot of times I could tell for myself that I was kind of overstaying it a little bit, or I wasn't contributing back to the reality. I was just showing up to take and not giving anything in return. And when I say giving anything in return, not giving just what I want to give, you know, not gifting what I want to give, not showing up, you know, how they needed me to show up, showing up how I wanted to show up. If that makes, I don't know if that's going to make sense, but I think if you're here, you'll know what I'm saying. We might want to do one thing, but that's not something that person needs. That person might need you to be more hands-on. They might need more care than that. If it's older people, or anyone, if they might need more support. And a lot of times we get into that. We're still clearing that human template, what we want to give. You always see people who want to barter or gift, or barter, let me barter something, but they want to barter what they want you to have. They don't ask what you need. They just say, well, this is what I'll give you. But they don't really care if that's what you want, or that's what you need, or it's not going to really help you out. It's more still about them. So when you start looking at the reality, and it's no longer about just support, it's now about me. And I'm really not I'm not looking at anything else in the reality anymore. You know, how long has it gone on? Has it gone on for years or months or years, and is it just you're showing up to get it, and then you don't want to give anything in return, or what they really need you don't want to do? And that goes back to it mirrors back what they're doing in a sense. You know, they might not want to assist with money. Money's a big thing for people to give, especially people in their human consciousness. They don't want to give that up. You know, they don't want to have to do that. That is a big one. It's a big one for the human consciousness. But it's a big one for all of us. And then we kind of get over the money thing. I'll call it the money thing, because we get over attachment to it. We understand it's for everyone. It's not just for one person. We kind of start to understand that and see that. And what starts to happen is then we see other things we could do. You know, we could move and be closer to these people so we could assist them more. Well, I don't want to do that. You know, wait, do I really want to do that? Would I rather not do that? Because that's not what I want to do. So we can start really digging into how are we willing to reciprocate? Maybe that's the best word to use here. How are we willing to reciprocate the support? And is it getting into stuff that we don't want to do? And that's when we get into the realities we don't want to go through, because this is not what I want to do, you know. These are not the realities I want to take part in, but they're crucial to our journey because they're the ones we have to do. To clear all the stuff we have around doing that reality, to clear all the judgment we have about doing that reality, to clear just that taking mentality, because what starts off as being supported and a soul contract where you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to show up to do this, and all of a sudden we morph it into, I'm just going to show up and take what I want and then I'm going to go. You know, that's not what higher consciousness aspects, that's not how we live. And when we're living like that, still kind of trying to quasi get something out of it, showing up, lying to get it, you know, that's a lot of us will kind of not so, I guess lying is the word. It's like, let me see this, no, lying's it. You know, we want to be able to say our journey's going fine, right? This is perfect, don't worry about it, this is great. When to any human looking at it, it's off the rails. To us going through it, it feels off the rails sometimes because it's not what we pictured. Because we didn't see how deeply we were ingrained in all these things we had, how deeply ingrained we were into how we were, how we looked at ourselves, how we valued ourselves, what we used to value ourselves. You know, why is my validation dependent on what I had, who I was, what job I had, you know, what degrees I had. So we have to work through all that stuff, but you can't work through all that stuff when everything's always the same and everything's working the same way. I would always say when I was going through something really rough, and if I was talking about it, and some of the responses I would get back would be, oh, you know, it's all the plan, or it's all this, I could tell they'd never gone through it. Because until you go through it, the stripping away of everything that you had any identity to, represented anything for you, and that kind of you being ostracized by everyone for what you're doing, and you keep going down the path. You know, it's like, boy, anyone else looks at this, you know, 10 years ago, if you were going down this path, you would have jumped off, you would have gone back the other way, because it's just like, wow, this is just it feels like it's getting worse for our human, and it is, because we're going deeper into all that programming about how we value things and why we have things. And to someone else, it looks like a total shit show. And to us, it looks like a shit show. And you see the limits on other people, and like I said, we have to look at the limits on us. What are we not wanting to do? You know, what do we not want to, how do we, items of reality I was in, where I always have to show up to get what I wanted, but I really wasn't supporting anyone the way they needed to be supported. And there came a point where I looked at the reality after it had gone on for a couple of years, and I was like, this has got to shift. This is not what I want to go do. And I was like, universe, I'll do anything else but do this, but I have to go do this. And deep down I knew that, because that's what they required. It was not about me anymore. And when you get to that reality where it's not really about what you want anymore, it is a pivotal shift, because now your bandwidth increases. You know, you're not just working on yourself anymore and clearing your own programming. You're going to go and be able to support other people and clear programming at the same time, and be able to do other things. Your bandwidth is bigger. You have more light to support other people. You have more light to support yourself. So don't look at these things as, you have to shift how you look at them. It's like, not like, oh my God, this is going, oh my God, I gotta go do this reality, I don't wanna go do it. Oh my God, I gotta go do this. We have to show up how people require us to show up. If they're supporting us, how do they need to be supported? Do we even care? You know, and that's when we have to really look at ourselves and ask that, do I even care about what they need? I just wanna show up for what I want, and then that's all I care about. Yet we want to say we're living, you know, these ascended lives, when we don't, until we really look at how we value everything. And then there will be other realities and other points in the reality where you see it might be go as far as it can go, you know, where you feel like you're giving, and I'm going to say giving, maybe just, you know, sharing, sharing, but no one else narrowly wants to do that. It kind of starts to overstay its welcome. You see, it's not moving anymore. No one's really getting anything. Everyone's gone as far as they're going to go. And that's when you know okay, bring me another reality. We can never ask our universe to bring us another reality because we don't want to do the one we have in front of us. It's not going to bring you another reality. Just like I'll see people say, well, bring me this, bring me that. Well, it's not going to bring you any of that stuff if you still have programming around not having it, or if it's not highest line for you to have it. That's where the whole, manifestation thing always goes awry, because if these things are not highest aligned, you might get something you try to manifest, but you're going to get it because it's aligned with something, but it's probably not what you wanted. I mean, it's probably not how you wanted to get it, or it's going to be something you're going to get, but it's not going to turn out the way you thought it was, because we're not manifesting from any type of pure place. Really from the purest place, we more materialize it. It kind of, everything dissolves away and something comes in its place. But it's not going to be the way you thought it was going to be. So when we're looking at a lot of these realities and we're really kind of getting into what's going on with us, we have to look at, when you're trying to manifest, I really need this car. we're going to use a car because it was an example I heard, is something I had to go through with my car too, because I sold my car a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So when we go through a lot of these realities, we get to these parts where, we're asking for something, but the reason we need it is not a pure reason. We just kind of want it. I kind of want that, but I don't have a pure reason for wanting it. I just want it. Sometimes we'll get it. Sometimes when you get to certain realities, you won't get that stuff. Certain ascended realities, you're not getting it until you've earned it and really busted your ass to earn it, or it's highest aligned for you to have it. And in the human reality, sometimes we get stuff, but it doesn't turn out the way we thought it would be, and getting it usually doesn't make us happy. We just now want the next thing. We're like the kid in the store. I want that, I want that, I want that, and then I want this too. I can't use it all. Like, I would look at my wardrobe, it's like, okay, I don't need 10 coats. Who needs 10 coats? Why do I have a wardrobe through probably 10 with an understatement? I probably have 25 coats. I don't need 25 coats. You start to look at how much the collection, how much we thought we needed. Why the support kind of kept bare bones for so long, because we have to break all that and realize we don't need all that. There are people who really have nothing, and in the human consciousness, that's okay. As long as we have what we need, we don't care what anyone else is doing. We can say we care, but we really don't. We all have a limit on what we'll do to assist someone else. Even people that are close to us will have a limit on what we'll do. And your universe will show you what that limit is, so you can bust through that limit and look at, is it, I don't want to have that limit anymore. I'm willing to show up and do what needs to be done. And like I said, there'll be a time when you'll know it's probably gone as far as it can go. It doesn't have a purpose anymore. And you'll know when that's about to shift too. And a lot of times sometimes also I do want to touch on this, when we are manifesting, because I know people who are still in that phase, it's still you're kind of doing it from not a pure place because you want something. Even trying to bring something to you that you say, no, I would really use this for ascended realities. I just need this to come in. Or I don't really like manifesting. I like just asking my universe for stuff. But I also know if it's not aligned, it's not going to come. I learned that a long time ago too. It's not going to come to save you from doing a reality you don't want to do. It's not going to come to appease someone else's human consciousness or someone else's human ego. These are things this money won't come to support. And ask, what's the source of this money, or how does this come out? Because a lot of these realities we've already done. We just need to ask how we did it. But you really have to look at why you want it. And we'll say sometimes our universe, I didn't get, why is this taking so long? It can take years and years and years and years to break through a lot of this stuff, because we don't know the depth of it. And until you really start losing your physical reality, you're not going to understand the depth of it, and you're not going to have the compassion to really look at that and say, I get it, because you haven't gone through it. Until you go through it, you don't understand it. Anytime I would hear some of the catchphrases, I would know they're not at that part yet. Everything happens for a reason. It's easy to say when your life hasn't shifted at all, because you're still working on the internal shifts. Your external hasn't started shifting yet, and all the stuff that goes away, it's not aligned. It's attachment to old things, attachment to old timelines. These are not aligned things, and if they're not aligned things, we can't keep them. We can't take them to the next reality. So we have to stop looking at these things as a loss and looking at how our support's coming. It's not the way I wanted it. I don't want it to affect other people. But you're also showing other people what support is, even if at that moment they don't value it. And a lot of times, honestly, if someone's in their human consciousness, they probably won't value it at that moment. They might look back and value it later, but they might not value it in that moment. So I'm going to leave it at that today. I'll leave it at that. I think that's a lot to chew on. So, all right, keep practicing the art of intuition.